Wouldn't it be nice to have a powerful design tool with a database behind the actual parts you are modeling? Well, you're in luck. Plan3D is that tool. Welcome to Bridging the Gap with Applied Software. I'm your host, Todd Wyant, and this is the show where we empower you to transform industries by championing innovation. Please feel free to interact with us by liking or commenting on this video. We would love to hear from you. Today, we are excited to have back our renowned process manufacturing thought leader and Plan3D expert, David Wolfe. David, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Todd. Good to be here.
Can you start by giving us a high-level overview of your background and experience in Plan?
Sure. So I started as a designer doing piping design, and then I switched to a reseller and did training for CADWorks, and then we changed that from representing CADWorks over to Plant3D. So I've been using Plant3D for a while now and implementing it across the US and Canada in various scenarios for water, wastewater, to petrochem, and even some food and beverage.
Gotcha. So people are always looking to accomplish more in less time to become as efficient as possible. How does Plan3D spur this goal along?
So there's several areas. This quarter, we're focusing on reports and showing how those provide value. There's also a lot of tools around integrating point clouds. So when you do asbuilt, getting that point cloud in and using Plant3D design around that provides a lot of value.
Nice. So you were mentioning asbuilt there. How does Plan3D allow you to interact with the asbuilt model? And then what's the advantage of using asbuilt point data?
The big advantage of asbuilt information and point clouds is that it's very easy for the owner-operator to send a team out into the field and to take some scans of their equipment and piping and structural buildings and to get that into the 3D model. So it's much faster than trying to design it or build it up in CAD or go out and take measurements. And so they can do this in a matter of minutes, build a high fidelity scan that has all the information they need to take it back and do some design work to rework piping or equipment in a specific area. So it's a lot faster to get a model out. And then by using the Autodesk tools like Recap, Navisworks, and AutoCAD, they can bring that in and integrate that as part of their design.
Gotcha. So using the Plan3D reporting tool called Reporting Creator, you can create several types of reports like equipment data sheets, P&ID line list, instrument list, piping build of materials, or BOM. Can you give us an overview and unpack this process?
So this is really one of the areas that I think Plant3D shines. There's a lot of CAD systems that allow you to build data-driven models, but a lot of them kind of lock that behind using Access or SQL Server. And while the information's there, it's not very easy to get to. And Plant3D has a report creator, which is a simple interface for basically creating reports. So you build a template, and then that template becomes, you put your logo that you want to see, the columns that you want to see, and then basically your project information fills that template out with the data that you have from your design work. And so there's a couple types of templates. So like common templates would be line lists, like you mentioned, but all that's just around formatting what is visible in the report template and then filling it in with data. So it's very flexible, very easy to use. And then when you customize it, you pretty much do it one time. You might change them. Like if you're a company that has multiple clients, you might switch the logo out, but that's pretty much all you'll have to do for getting custom reports that your client is going to appreciate and getting them the information they care about.
Interesting. So can you kind of explain what would be a real world example of this?
So there's a lot of common things. So many times companies are using isometrics from the 3D model, and they might have a user going through. Once the isometric gets created, it'll have a drawing border area where there's lines and schematic lines showing the pipe lengths and where the valves go. And then there's usually a bill of material section at the top right. And so a lot of times they'll have a designer or even someone in their purchasing department go through each of those drawings and kind of do a running Excel spreadsheet of all of those items that are listed in every single drawing. So rather than going through all those isometrics, we can use a report creator to create one project bill of material that covers everything that's in their piping model, which makes the process of taking all that information off and getting a bid a lot faster. In addition, some companies will outsource that work, and so they'll say, we did this design, and they'll hand it off to one of their subcontractors, and their subcontractor will do all that work. Well, if you have a project bill of material, you could provide it to your subcontractor. Alternatively, you can also compare that to what your subcontractor is giving you back, and you can say, well, we were expecting 10,000 feet of pipe, and you only quoted 5,000, or you quoted 20,000. And look for the difference and why they're coming up with different numbers than you are. So there's a lot of benefit around estimating the cost of your project and then tracking down exactly what's in your model and make sure that everyone on the team is aware of that.
Gotcha. Well, what do you find to be the most powerful aspect around the reporting functionality in Plan 3D?
It's definitely its flexibility. I keep getting surprised at how flexible it is and the number of things that you can do with it. There is a powerful scripting engine in the back end. I'm a code junkie, so I love just typing up scripts and doing things with it. But it's almost the sky is the limit for what you can do. You can just change the data so many different ways and really tweak the outputs or change expressions and things like that. It's amazingly flexible.
Interesting. What do you think the most commonly used feature of the reporting is?
A lot of people use it just for there's a couple types of reporting in Plan 3D, and this is where we're trying to kind of educate everyone. The data manager report is probably the most common one, and that's basically just an export to Excel. And one of the reasons people like it is that it can be exported to Excel, but then the information can be brought back in after it's been edited. But you can also do a similar thing with the report creator, which many people don't know about. And so that's one of the things we like to teach them about, is that you can export a report from the report creator, modify the contents in Excel, like maybe if you want to change the equipment description or add information around design or engineering data, and then import that report creator template back into your project and still have that benefit of that exchange of data and you still get the pretty format, with your logos and everything else.
Nice, very cool. So you've mentioned in the past that you've been able to build some partnerships for tools developed around Plan 3D. What does a partner like 3DS offer our Plan 3D users?
Yeah, so these are a couple partners we've brought on board lately that I'm really excited about. 3DS is a company that makes a product called Orthogen. And so a lot of times when companies are doing piping design, they'll have a period of time where they're making the model and all the designers are in modeling parts. And then as the project progresses, they have some people split out and they start making plans and sections for that piping model. That time of making plans and sections can be fairly labor intensive. Sometimes there's up to 4 to 5 pipers just doing that one project, just depending on how big the project is. What Orthogen offers is a way to basically, just like our report creator, a way to set up template styles and how you want to view drawings. And then it can generate the plans and sections for you with minimal cleanup afterwards. So just like we're generating isometrics based on the style, just like we're creating reports with templates in a certain style, we can now do this with orthographic drawings like plans and sections and get high detailed, highly dimensioned, annotated drawings with minimal overhead for designers just sitting in and labeling pipe and labeling and putting in dimensions. So it's a very powerful tool.
Gotcha, it sounds it. So another recent partner is CAD Studio. What does our partnership with them bring to the table?
Yeah, so CAD Studio, they've been through some changes lately. They've been recently joined with a company, I assume I'm saying this the right way, Oxalia. Karsten will have to correct me if I'm not. But one of the things CAD Studio has done is they've been consistently developing Plan 3D tools over the years. And so I wanted to be a partner with them for a long time. And they bring tools like highly detailed spec-driven P&IDs, where you can compare your P&ID to your 3D model. And as you design, see what's changing or see what's missing from your pipeline. It's something that's sort of built into AutoCAD P&ID, but not anywhere near the level of what Karsten provides. In addition, one of the features that I've discovered lately, just reviewing the tools that we get to sell now, is their plant reporter. And one of the things that I've run into almost every client that I talk to about reports and report creator within Plan 3D has a question as far as how do we see differences in our piping model? So for example, they might spend 2 months building a piping model, generate a report because they're halfway through to show what's in their piping model. Well, let's say another month goes by and they need to order some more material for that. currently, out of the box, they have to generate a brand new report, and there's no way to know what's changed. They just see a complete list of everything that they have at that point in time. So one of the things that Carsten has done and his team have done is they have an add-on called Plant Reporter, and they will let you actually version and revision your reports, so that when I run my report the first time, it will take a snapshot of it, it'll store it locally, and then I can run my report at a point in the future, and it will compare the two and let me know which items have been added, how many items have been removed, if there's been changed quantities, which is a very powerful feature that we've had a lot of people request.
Yeah, sounds like a huge time saver.
It is very big.
That's awesome. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. If someone is watching this and evaluating whether to adopt Plant 3D, what would you want to make sure that they knew?
Well, so there's a couple just housekeeping things. I always talk about line tagging. Always talk about making sure that the line groups are set up correctly. But really, it's about having the proper partners in this thing. The software purchase is the smallest part of it. There's always extra effort around customizing it and tweaking it, and we love to pride ourselves on being available to help people and get them an extra step up to get going on Plant 3D.
Yeah, nice. Well, implementing any new software can often feel, like herding cats. What would be your advice to people looking at implementing Plant 3D to make it a smooth transition?
Yeah, so definitely kind of handle this more like an internal project. And maybe have a project manager to keep everyone on track, because there's a lot of groups both internally to the company and externally that need to kind of make sure everyone's hands are getting held. Like I mentioned before. Second, like I mentioned before, get a partner and make sure you have a good team around that. You want to make sure you have pick a good time of the year to do this for you. Some companies are cyclical, so you don't want to be completely down, but you do want to have people kind of excited about the project and understand there's a big project coming up in a month or two that they can gear up for and test this out on. And then lastly, just to pick a pilot project, and that's small and doable, usually 1 to 2 P&IDs, maybe 4 to 5 pieces of equipment and a piping model. And that'll help that you attack this on a small scale, make sure you work out some of the kinks and the differences in the workflows, because there's always going to be those differences. And then that'll help set you up for success for getting your next full project out.
Nice, great advice. So wonder if you can kind of look into your crystal ball. Where do you see the industry moving in the next 3 to 5 years?
The industry, so all the market trends it's growing, and then there's a lot of emphasis. It's, I'm kind of watching also related industries. So there's a lot of things going around in the AEC world around making manufacturing processes come to BIM that they couldn't take advantage of before. And so taking a look at that, they get to do things because they're kind of innovating at a different time period than when maybe some of the manufacturing processes started their innovations around these types of capabilities 10 or 20 years ago. So now they have the internet, so they're doing things with the internet that we couldn't do before. And so I can see us bringing some of those tools and cloud services and new ways of working back to the manufacturing level. Where maybe we started the core idea and they're taking advantage of that, but now we get to bring some of that, the tweaks that they're adopting back more into the manufacturing processes.
Yeah, that's great. Well, David, as always, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your insights into Plant 3D.
Thank you, Todd. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. And thank you to those watching. If you are interested in learning any more about our products or services, you can visit ASTI.com. I'm your host, Todd Wyand, thanking you for joining us on Bridging the Gap with Applied Software. Until next time, keep innovating.